Wife sacrifices marriage for something I offered to give her. So I'm not sure where to begin. Not the most brilliant or wisest man in the planet. I suppose I'll simply start chatting. My wife, 26 female, and I have been married for over 5 years. 2 years married, we have a 2-year-old boy, and I have a 10-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. My wife made a new buddy at work, on April 21st, and regular friend stuff began. Things seemed normal at first. Texting. Tagging each other on various social media platforms. Things that are normal. F is also in a relationship with a male, however it is unclear if they are married. This will come in handy later. I began seeing things in June. Wife would remain up late at night, sometimes all night, communicating. Wife devotes a lot of time to her. Her visit to my home. Wife is on her way to their residence. Again, nothing major, I believed it was just buddy stuff. Something strange occurs to me one night. My wife and I are in bed, and I'm fast asleep. I wake up, and she rushes to conceal her phone. I don't think much of it. I return to bed and sort of snore while awake, and she takes out her phone to erase some texts. I'm half sleepy and don't pay attention to it at the time. We start getting into more arguments about this time. She's beginning to go to phone mess more often, and they're starting to go places more frequently. It all comes to a head around June 23rd when we have a massive argument that ends with the wife punching a hole in the wall and fleeing to her residence. That night, after more text bickering, I told her I wanted a divorce and that we could no longer have a secure and stable relationship for our kid. We figure it out afterwards. It blows up big time on June 29th. I'm at work when I get a message from my wife. Is going to live with us since her spouse booted her out and she has nowhere else to go, according to my wife. This isn't happening, I tell my wife. At this time, I'm skeptical of my wife, and I tell her, you and your girlfriend can finally do whatever you want. I don't give a FCK anymore. She responds with the words, you already know how much I love you. I will always love and care for you since you are the father of my child, and I will always be grateful to you. That is something that will never change. I'm just going to go ahead and say it out loud. Partner has a strong suspicion that and I are engaged in something. She wanted to get away from him since he's jealous and domineering. I can't control my emotions at times, and there's nothing I can do about it right now. When you threatened to divorce me, it made me realize that you don't place as much importance on our relationship as I had previously assumed you do. In a phone conversation with her, she ultimately acknowledges that she and had a physical relationship, confirming my suspicions about her. She claims it is because was emotionally there for her during our disagreements and battles, to summarize a lengthy story. She also claims that she has acted in a selfish manner during the whole process. And that my wife had a strong attraction to ladies at all times. Before, I'd offered to invite a female into our room so that the wife could have what she desired. She turned me down since it meant she didn't want to share me with anybody else. Despite my better judgment, I make every effort to work through this, and we begin to rebuild our connection. I'm hardly the most amazing person on the face of the planet, believe it or not. I make public pronouncements. Things that are potentially dangerous. I afterwards expressed regret for my actions. I'd got the distinct sensation that things wasn't quite right for a long time. I didn't connect with the tale in any way. After a few of touches, they admitted that they played a little. And just once engaged in activity. Despite this, the numbers never added up. When they stopped talking, the communications, they sent to my wife were nothing like what you would expect from a fling. Things are talking about profound love and how she is the one for you. Her phone was filled with messages that made no sense and had no meaning. As a consequence, I believe that the vast majority of them were wiped. Beautiful images were taken on my wife's phone, but I never received them. Photographs of her wearing makeup and other accessories. It was just a week or so ago that it was heard. I've reached out to and her boyfriend to express my regret. I didn't believe they deserved one, but I felt forced to give them one since I had spoken to them in a terrible and harsh manner before. More than anything, I did it for my own personal gain. And I strike up a conversation, and she allegedly fills me in on a great deal of what happened. She then drops the bombshell and asks her boyfriend to get in touch with me immediately. When I pick up the phone, he adds, I'm sorry, but I'm unable to accept your apologies since I also had relations with your wife. So, in essence, my wife had with this couple. She did it many times because she wanted to test a lady. And her boyfriend would not allow to have with my wife unless he was there. I'm completely ruined. My wife seems to have sacrificed myself, our son, and our daughter for something so selfish. And I offered to do it for her, but she declined since she didn't want anybody else touching her. I'm at a loss for words and have no clue where to turn. Edit, I never expected so many of you to reach out to me when I'm in pain. And I appreciate it. But, because this is gaining traction, I believe I should include it. My wife has had no interaction with either the F or the F partner. It turns out that F and her boyfriend had contacted me about their own marital problems. They were all guilty of having the twice. Wife and F have acknowledged to kissing and caressing one another. F believes they had more with just the two of them. Wife says, F partner is very jealous and panic out when they are alone together. Edit 2, I don't have someone to confide in, so I suppose I'm reaching out to the internet. Edit 3, as many have requested, another edit is in need. Wife has done all I've requested of her in order for us to reconcile. She's informed family members, turned on GPS monitoring, posted on social media, and recently consented to a postnuptial arrangement. Story 2. I found out he had a fiancée. Approximately 3 months had passed since I began dating this guy. Working in the oil field, he makes a substantial amount of money. During the year, he works in a different place for 2 weeks at a time and then comes home for another 2 weeks. We spoke on the phone every day and FaceTimed, and I've visited him at his workplace twice and stayed at the hotel where he was staying while working for 2 weeks in the field. As soon as he got home, we went on numerous dates together, and he would spend the night at my place, talk on the phone, and engage in BF/GF activities with me. I had to break up with him after the second month since, after returning home for 2 weeks, he would go MIA for a day or two, not call, and often cancel plans with friends and family. A female texted him at 1 a.m. with a picture on our way home from our date, and he said it wasn't anything. I broke it up and took him back since he had claimed to be interacting with anybody else except me. On New Year's Eve morning, I received a friend request from a girl. Her profile picture showed her sitting on his lap, which was a nice touch. After that, we spoke through Messenger, swapped phone numbers, and talked on the phone. She told me that they had been engaged since December 2020 and that they would be getting married in February of this year, as she had previously said, 2022. Additionally, she said that he has been wanting to postpone it, and that she has seen a shift in his demeanor since we first started talking. I immediately apologized to her and said that I had no idea he was engaged since I would never entertain him. Nevertheless, it all made sense to me as to why he would flake and not contact me at various points throughout the course of the relationship. I told her everything that had happened between the two of us that day. She pleaded with me not to speak to him because she was ready to forgive him since she does not work, despite having a bachelor's degree in education, and relies on him to cover all of her expenses. He refused to speak to me because she was ready to forgive him, vehicle note, phone bill, etc. She even inquired as to whether or not I was aware of his phone password. I informed her that I needed to speak with him in order to get closure. When I spoke with him, he expressed regret for having been apprehended. He confessed to me that he had been looking for escape, and that it had been difficult for him to leave her since she had threatened to commit herself and had no relatives in the state. He also said that it was hazardous to one's psychological well-being. I told him that I would no longer be able to communicate with him due to the fact that he is engaged and would soon become a husband. All of this is to indicate that I am appalled. I'm having the sensation of being a sidekick. I'm devastated since I adored him and he had strong feelings for me before I discovered his relationship with his fiancée. But, I'm not going to lie, I miss you despite the fact that I've blocked him. However, I must go on with my life.